The Martells got done so dirty in that show.
Bro, they're the best fighting family in the show.
They just like wiped them out.
What's his George R. Martin? He's an asshole if you haven't noticed that.
Yeah, but I don't think that was his doing. I think that was after they were done with the books and they were just like making their own shit up.
I haven't read the books. I want to, but I haven't read them, so I couldn't tell you. But like, I know George. That wouldn't surprise me that he did that. He's like, yeah, they're the best fighting family. Everybody loves that about them. I'm gonna kill them in the most bitch way. They're not even get the opportunity to fight. They're gonna shit like that.
The two guys that made the first Game of Thrones series, they had never done a show before.
Oh, the showrunners, you mean?
Yeah, they had never run a show before. HBO just gave them the money to do that shit. Yep.
Really?
Yep.
I can't believe that. That's really?
Yep. They had no other credits except for Game of Thrones. Privilege.
Anyway, give me 1 second. I gotta grab my water.
What it feels like to have privilege.
That has me so upset. That has me upset, but yeah, because the Martells was my favorite family. Oberyn Martell was my favorite character, and then he was done dirty.
Could you imagine them giving black people an opportunity like that?
No. And you know the thing is, I don't mean that because we can't adjust that like specifically because it's a fantasy like sci-fi based thing. Like no, that's why we don't have
black dudes.
Yeah, that's why we don't have more content like that. We don't have more black fantasy sci-fi content because black people don't get content like that. Black people don't do that. Y'all can't be in space and shit. Medieval times, y'all wasn't there back then, even though we were both in Europe and in Africa. But I'm not going to bring that up right now.
Anyways, if you're just tuning in, I'm your host, Logan, and this is the Milk and Toast Podcast. I'm here with my best friend, Mitch. Say hi to the people, Mitch.
I am mad black people do not get more fantasy and sci-fi content. Fuck you, white America.
We got the Rings of Power now.
Nah, we just have a little bit.
No, I'm talking about the Lord of the Rings show.
I know. I'm saying we just have people get excited for black elves. Me more so than anybody else because I've been a black elf since before black elves was cool. But anyway,
all right, cool. Anyways, if you like the show, share the show. You can find us on Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. You can find us just about anywhere you listen to your podcast.
There's an Apple thing, right? Like an Apple podcast.
Yeah, Apple Podcast too. Yeah. Apparently, there's a Samsung podcast now. But we're on there Spotify too. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah. Good. No. I found that out, and I was like, ain't gonna miss us. We're gonna be there.
Yeah,
we're gonna be there.
You're gonna listen to this shit whether you want to or not.
Exactly. Just shout out to all of the people that share the show, and shout out to all the people that listen to the show weekly, or you try to keep up with the show. I love you guys, so I just want to say thank you right at the front, so like you actually hear that. How you doing today, Mitch?
Mostly good. I'm just tired. You know, I know we this is my fault for the reschedule. Well, actually, I asked because I was down to still do Thursday, but like you remember why I hit you up. I was like, maybe you take your time, just let me know. But so other than being tired, I'm good. Like chilling with good people. Had a great night last night. We saw a pretty good film. You want to talk about it now? Or you want to talk about it later?
You want to talk about Barbarian?
You don't?
Okay.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
All right. For those of you, do people even know about this fucking movie?
I didn't, bro. I didn't at all until Annie brought it up. I was just going to chill with friends, and then I was like, what the fuck did we just see?
Yes, but I feel like, okay, this is a spoiler alert for the movie Barbarian.
I already did the spoiler alert. If they haven't tuned out by now, they want to hear what's up.
That's true.
Although in the edit, you should, if you could do you said you could do time marks, you should mark where the spoilers are so they could just like skip that.
Mitch speaks like a person who doesn't engage with the show because he never reads the description. Anyways,
I remember you did that, but I wasn't sure if you had specifics, you fucking asshole. Anyway.
You should listen to the show. No, that movie, fucking Barbarian, was wild. I think. What do you think the movie was about? Let me start there. Because I have my theory about what the movie was about, but like,
honestly, I'm not. And this was our conversation with philosophy versus just doing whatever. Because there was a message to be sent, but like they also were just telling like a crazy fucking story. Because you could also just tell a crazy fucking story. And, you know, one of our friends had brought that up, how they like, this is shit that was happening. Not to the extent of like gross mutant fucking.
It was shit that was happening.
Detroit, Michigan is a crazy place, one. But I mean, in America, there are untold stories. No, I'm serious. I'm not joking. You remember not Get Out, not No, Us?
Yeah.
You remember how in the beginning they had that message about there are millions of subterranean tunnels? Many people didn't know about that beforehand because shit like that's been happening in the country. There's shit like dark, secret, like occult shit that no one knows about.
Oh. I thought you meant like there's like millions of tunnels underneath the ground and shit.
Well, in America, yeah, but I don't mean that in a creepy way. Just in the fact there are tunnels underneath the country, like trains and stuff, subways. Those are tunnels.
Yeah.
I just mean it in that sense, and that's all over the country at this point. But there are.
I thought you were like talking about like the mole people.
No, not like the secret subterranean society. Right no. Although we can conspire.
No,
but anyway,
no mole people. Oh my god.
There's no mole people. You sure? You want to feel so certain about that, but you don't actually know.
I don't want to feel certain about that. I'm certain there's no mole people. And that sounds like something somebody would say at the beginning of like a horror story about the mole people.
Exactly.
You know
That's what I mean. And I'm like, all right, man. You the black guy that dies at the end.
Podcaster talks about how there's no mole people, finds out the dark and ugly truth of the mole people.
Like shit, like goddamn it, we're stuck, and all they see is the footage of Logan getting dragged away by the mole people as I'm just running, like, oh my god, I can't believe they took him. And he's just like, all right, yeah, who believes in mole people now? But no, like stories like that one specifically. So okay, spoiler alert again. So basically, this story is about, well, shit. It's not even. I don't even know if you could say there was a main character, but I guess main protagonist has to be Tess because she lived, I guess. Yeah. But in any case, woman comes in to run downtown in Detroit, Michigan, but she doesn't know at first because it was dark when she came in. A lot of
bad choices, but yes.
A lot of bad choices. We're going to talk about the Black Commandments later. And anyway, a lot of bad choices. She comes in, it's dark. She couldn't see how run down the town was. She goes out in the morning and the houses are like run down. Like there's no way anybody should be living there in that area.
Are we spoiling the movie or are we just telling the movie? Like,
well, spoiling and I'm just giving a little plot. But the point is, the house itself in question, the man who owned it a couple decades back built a tunnel system underneath because his house was eventually gonna like be sold because someone's gonna buy out his house eventually and take it from him because they couldn't afford to live in that town, which is like a Detroit story in general. If we look at the current history of Detroit, it was been building up to where it's currently at in the first place. Mm-hmm. So underground, that's what I mean. Like people could have been doing that, like crazy ass motherfuckers. Oh, I just took the time and all of a sudden now I'm living underneath the house and nobody knows. Nobody could. Oh, also he could have been leaving it for people to Airbnb so he could, and no one cared because the police kept going and people came up missing and no one investigated. Because like people
Airbnb is pretty recent invention. It's not like
I'm not.
You only got like good 5 years out of that. Like it's not like, you know.
Airbnb isn't 5. It's at least now it's 2022.
It's like about 5 years old.
Airbnb is?
I think so.
No, Logan, Airbnb is at least like a good 10.
Only 5 years? 2017 was 5 years ago. Oh shit, that was 5 years ago? Goddamn. Anyway.
I could have sworn Airbnb started. But yeah, anyways, so people doing stuff like that, like doing crazy, is a possibility we don't like to think about.
Well, like people just making their own like murder dungeons.
Yeah, but you know, I'm willing to bet there's a story in a newspaper from way back when about someone doing some shit like that. And
I feel
just
like
finding out about it.
He kidnapped these women. He put them in the little room He did what he was gonna do.
Mm-hmm.
Then he would take the children, put them lower, put them in the cages, which I see you with your little liberal commie propaganda, kids in cages. And then he would then he would go even deeper where like he had his own little office back there and he had his own little room where he like made it all plush and stuff. And he was like, that's where the women are going to learn to be mothers to this children, you know, at least in his own twisted sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like all the way back was his office. And like I think like the trap door was like maybe where he like that's like the punishment hole, like that's the hole. Like, you know what I mean? You gotta go in the hole.
You're not acting
you
right.
know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. Like, or that's actually where he would keep the women. Like that's where he kept them.
For
you
the
know
time
what I mean?
being until he brought him into the that shit was so fucked up.
Exactly.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that was a lot. Anyways, you don't think the movie was about anything?
No, it's not that. I just think the movie was about telling secret, untold, unbelievable stories. The movie was about a lot in terms of like human character, but not the cleanest, clear character, obviously.
I felt like the movie was about like sexual assault. Like I think that's what the movie was about.
Also definitely very, very valid. It's just there was so much more going on.
Because let me walk you through it. Like the whole like lack of jump scares to me didn't like I was like, okay, this is like at one point I'm like watching a movie with Sarah and I'm like, this is a movie without scary shit. Like the movie goes on for like a whole hour.
No, there's a lot of like filler shit where I'm just like, oh.
It goes on for like a whole hour.
But thank God for that cinematography. That's all I'm saying.
Teasing you. It teases you that like there's going to be a jump scare. There's going to be another jump scare.
And then like there really
isn't. No jump scare. Like it gets real close to her on the bed and then like the camera draws out and you're expecting to see like some like witch or like a demon or like even the guy she was like in the house with the B&B, like, you know, and just like over her. And then like the camera pulls out and there's nobody there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there's like all this anxiety in your body about, oh shit, something's gonna happen.
Something's gonna happen. Yeah,
you know
they
what I mean?
keep that running.
But then
Definitely.
like nothing happened. And so like by the time it was like the 8th jump scare, I'm like, this is a movie that's supposed to be scary, but it's not scary. You know what I mean? But then like it gets all the way to the end where it's like it starts showing the murder dungeon and all this other shit. And then it's like, oh no, this shit ain't scary, right? And then like Bill Skarsgård, he goes down the hole and then like he gets captured.
And that's not even the end. That's like
this is like the middle of the movie. Yes.
No, I want to say that's kind of late intro.
No, that lasted a whole hour. That whole yeah, because when that bit was over, I was like, how long is this movie? That's when I checked my phone.
You told me it was 2 hours, and I was like, that didn't feel like 2 hours. I literally I believe it was just so I felt like I was there for like 45 minutes.
What?
Straight up.
Are you
thought
serious?
I was there for like 45 minutes
to
an hour.
Yeah. felt so long. Anyway,
well, I came in late too, but like nonetheless.
No, listen. And so like this is why I say it's about sexual assault, because like at every bit, I feel like it's about the different types of men and different types of sexual assault. You know
I agree
what I mean?
with that. Yeah, that's you could write a paper on that for real.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you could. You really could.
I feel like that's what the movie is for. You know, like it's like one of those types. It's like this is a horror movie, but this is the message. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like at the beginning, it's like Bill Skarsgård is like she comes into this Airbnb. There's a guy there. It's Bill Skarsgård, and he is like, I'm a good guy and blah, 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 blah. And he's like, oh, you don't have to worry too much. We're in a weird predicament. Hey, do you want to like stay here? Do you want to like just have some wine? Like, you know, but like at the beginning, like she was like, okay, I'm just going to leave. And he was like, no, like he's saying all these things to keep her in the house. You know what I mean? Which is a horror movie trope because like, why is this guy trying to keep her from leaving? And so like, she's locking the doors behind her when she goes to the bathroom. She's doing all these things to try to keep herself safe. But at the same time, like anytime she tries to leave the house, he doesn't exactly let her leave the house. You
Well,
know what I
here's one
mean?
thing I do before you go ahead on that, because with his character, I actually like what they did, because what they were doing was kind of playing with the concept of where's the line between chivalrous guy, because chivalry is dead, but like chivalry was a very, very real thing. It's still a thing, but not as prevalent. So yeah, you were like, oh, he was trying to keep her there. But to me, as I saw it, because I was trying to give him benefit of the doubt in terms of evidence that I'm seeing, like everything he was doing, I was like, nah, that's kind of understandable. She's a woman. She goes out. When the police come and question you because she's dead, what do you tell them? I let her go. You know what I mean?
I
Which
think
isn't going to incriminate you, but that's sometimes. I'm saying, like, if you think about the old school chivalrous guy, if he did that, the way he would look, and think about it this way, the way he would look to other men, no, and women, would be like, oh, you're a weak man. Because if you weren't chivalrous, yeah, they played with, you didn't, I guess you didn't think about it, but they did play with that.
No,
but
I
even
think
still, was up.
because for me, I think like that is like I understand everything you're saying. I feel like that is the thing that guy thinks. You know what I mean?
Well, that's also the point. That's what I'm saying. I don't think
No,
his
I
character
don't think that
was
was the point though. What I think the point was of that scene was to show what that behavior looks, because we're not seeing things from his perspective, because he's
no,
not the protagonist. You know
no.
what I mean? So like we're seeing it from her perspective, you know? So it's like it's having that experience. And one of the things of like the lack of the jump scares to me was that like was like the anxiety of being trapped with somebody, the anxiety of not knowing whether or not something is going to happen to you. And like one of the best ways to show that in like a horror film and using that trope against the audience is like taking the audience through that anxiety, which is like, this is how it feels to be trapped in a situation where you don't have any power. Because it feels like you're under constant anxiety. You're feeling
That's the
like
other thing I did want to talk about, because the thing about chivalry, and that's why I'm saying they're playing with a lot of concepts, especially his role, because the thing about masculine chivalry was that you were still taking power from women because she didn't know better. That's why you were the chivalrous dude. That's the other issue.
I don't
That's
know
why
if that's
chivalry is
completely
dead.
true.
Bro, chivalry back in the day, especially if we're talking about medieval times like we were earlier, if you're a knight and there's a lady, it's your responsibility to take control of the situation, regardless, because she's just a damsel. She's not a person. She's just a woman. You're responsible for making sure everything goes right. She's safe. Like, women weren't even allowed to be responsible for their safety.
I think that's one way to look at it, but I don't know if that's.
I'm saying in general, like if you think about chivalry in the old school way, sure, it was well-meaning, but it also still took away power from women, because women weren't allowed to be chivalrous. It was only men who were chivalrous. They were the ones who were supposed to make sure everything was safe. They were the ones who were supposed to make sure the women were good. Women weren't even allowed to be responsible for their own safety. That is one of the problems with chivalry. It means well. I'm sorry
because,
if you don't agree, that's cool, but that's all there.
No, because if you live in a world where like the chivalry doesn't go just for women either. It's supposed to be like women, children, small animals, and old people. Like it's supposed to be about being strong in the world and what's your responsibility.
But the man being strong in the world.
It's your role as it's a guideline. It's an etiquette rule for men. That's what chivalry is.
I'm aware.
Let me say it like that. It's an etiquette rule for men. It's not that women.
That's a good way of putting it.
But the way you're saying is like women don't have etiquette rules, and that's not true.
No. But we're talking about men. We're talking about chivalry, and I'm saying,
but the way you
regardless of how well-meaning it was,
like women don't have any like thing to worry about in society. So like,
no, that's not what I was saying. I was saying that's the problem with chivalry, because it was so much man etiquette that you would, at some point, if you were being a chivalrous man, because especially back then, if a woman was like, yo, I don't know if I want to do this, your job was to take control so that you could make sure everything was right.
No, here's what I think Bill Skarsgård, like his character represents. I feel like his character represents men who use chivalry in a way to get what they want.
Which is also another point I was going to come into.
That's what I think. I think it's not. It's like men who pretend to be good guys who use like the trappings of like what society says to be a good guy to to advance what it is they wanted in the first place. You know, like he never takes it to the level where he's actually going to like assault this woman, but he does take it to the level where he tells her that she can't leave a place that she wants to leave or that she's actually uncomfortable with. You know, he's like forcing her to be comfortable in this space. He's forcing her to stay where he wants her to stay, even when she gets trapped in the basement. And then she leaves the basement through his help. Like he helps her leave the basement, and then like she's like, "Hey, it's real fucked up down there. Like there's this camera, there's this tunnel, and all this shit. Like we need to leave. We shouldn't be down here and shit." And then he's like, "Well, I'm gonna just check. Can you?" And she's like, "No, I'm gonna leave." And he goes, "No, you can't leave." And then I was like, "Okay." That's when everybody in the audience was like, "This is real fucking weird." It's like because like I thought when I was watching the movie, I thought it was his. I thought he set up the whole thing. We all thought
it was him. Yeah.
Like I thought like he owned the house. It was well
done in that capacity. I'm not gonna lie.
I thought he owned the house. I thought he like set this whole weird shit up, and like he's the one that set up the camera. And then like when she went down there after him, that like he was gonna like trap her or whatever. Like she was doing a lot of dumb shit. But like at the same time, I feel like all of that in the movie was about like there's this guy. He obviously thinks himself as like a good person and a good guy and a chivalrous person, right? But then he's like, oh well, I like every step of the way he takes control out of her hands. And I don't really agree with the fact that like chivalry is about like taking control from women.
I'm sorry, Logan. I
don't know. I don't necessarily see it that way.
I know you wouldn't, because that's how we were raised to think about it. Because that's how we were all raised to think about chivalry.
No, I don't think that's the thing. Because
I'm sorry, that's exactly it.
Okay, what about chivalry is about says that?
It doesn't say it. That's what I was saying.
What do you mean?
It's because it's displayed as well-meaning, but we forget that chivalry, and for us as men, the code of chivalry was supposed to be our guiding point of etiquette. Yes, like you said, but like we also agreed upon, it was for men. It wasn't about the people you're being chivalrous for.
This is what I mean, because Annie did this. Annie said something funny last night. She said to remember when it was right?
Well, don't say his name out in public.
You're right. I'll believe his name.
Yeah. But, it was...
Remember when he was trying to say that, like, those tunnels were slave tunnels, right?
I remember. Yeah.
So, like, she said something funny. She said something funny. What she said was that, like, okay, you're thinking about the thing in the context of, like, the real world, but you're not thinking about it, like, in what actually happened in the movie. You know what I mean?
Which is so fair.
Like, you know what I mean? And I thought that was so funny because it was true. And it's like, yes, we can talk about what we think is going on, but like, what is the actual thing? So that's what I mean. It's like, what is chivalry? Like, what is that? Don't tell, like, what are the rules? Like, what are the actual rules?
The actual rules of chivalry is one, you're supposed to, protect those weaker than you. In this sense, a man being chivalrous. All right, I'm the go-to person here, meaning I protect the women, I protect the children and small animals, like you said, pets and stuff. Right. I'm responsible for maintaining, a level of protection, safety, guiding them along. But what that also means is, in order for me to do that, I have to make sure I'm in control. That's the only thing I'm saying.
I'm glad you said it that way, though. But no, what happened just there is you said the rule and then you interpreted the rule. That's what I wanted to.
Well, what I'm saying is, because this is what I'm saying, it was displayed as well-meaning, but this is the actuality. That's what I'm saying.
That's not the actuality if you don't believe that's the actuality. That's what I'm saying.
So you're saying you don't believe that?
No, that's what I'm trying to say.
That's cool. That's exactly I disagree entirely, because I 100% believe that.
If you told me that, like, my responsibility is to protect, let me say it like this. If you told me my responsibility is protect you, Mitch, right, then that doesn't give me the idea that my idea is to control you.
But see, this is what is being miscommunicated.
So what I'm saying, no, it's not miscommunicated.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm saying is, if you are somebody who thinks protection is control, then you
No,
will act.
I'm not.
Wait, don't react.
Okay.
Just let me speak first. If you feel like protection is control, then you will use control as protection. You know what I mean? Or
Yes.
you will use control as control. You know what I mean? With the idea that everybody else thinks that you're trying to protect. You know, like, so it goes both ways that way. But at the same time, I feel like, for me, like, if you give me the rules, I'm only going to do the rules. Like, I'm not going above and beyond. I'm not like, you know what I mean? I'm not 100%. I'm not 110% type guy.
Yeah, I get
I'm
that.
like, I give
you don't
you
have to, mind
yeah.
you. You don't have to be going 110%.
No. So what my idea is like, if you told me that, you know, this is the rules, you're supposed to pull the chair out for the person, supposed to protect them when they're in trouble, and like, you're supposed to give me another chivalrous thing to do. I don't know.
Fight any enemies attacking.
No, we did that on the second one.
Right. You pulled out the chair.
You protect the person.
Make sure you walk them home at night, some shit like that.
Sure.
But I guess that's protection still, but like,
sure,
yeah.
You make sure you walk them home at night. If it comes to like pulling out your chair and you tell me you don't want your chair pulled out, I'm like, you on your own. If it comes to like, we fighting, but like, you're like, you look like you got it more than me, like, you on your own. If it comes to like, what was the last thing you just said?
Walking the person home.
Yeah, if it comes to walking the person home, but like you say fuck off, I'm fucking off. Like, to me, like, that's also chivalrous, because at the same time, it's like, I haven't broken any rules. Like,
but that's not how chivalry worked.
It is how chivalry.
No, it's not.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is that's not how people practice chivalry.
That's not how people. This is what I'm saying. That's what I'm. Yeah,
okay, but that's different than saying.
And I'm not talking about the concept of chivalry.
Wait, that's what I'm saying is. Mm-hmm. That's different than saying that's not how chivalry works. And I feel like
in reality,
and I feel like that's part of the problem and part of the point. One of the points that the movie makes.
Yes,
is that your interpretation of the thing does not constitute you to the trappings of that thing. Like, it doesn't. I don't even know if I said that right, but like, your interpretation of the thing does not excuse like the consequences of your actions of that thing. It's like,
I mean, so here's the thing. I'm not fully sure if you made the full sense of what you're trying to say, but I get you. But what I'm not saying in terms of here's my interpretation of chivalry. What I'm saying is, I'm not talking about you. Okay,
I'm just
cool.
talking about,
that's
like,
not what I'm saying.
No, I'm just talking about the broader, with the idea you put forth.
You brought up, right. So I'm saying is, so you have the concept of chivalry, yes, which I agree in a similar sense. And then you have, for lack of a better term, the world of men who are going to take that concept and have it mean something else to them. So in terms of talking about that dude, when we bring him up,
what is the problem then? Is the problem chivalry, or is it men?
Of course, the problem's men. It isn't chivalry
itself. That's what I'm getting to.
No, and I understand that now, because I was like, all right, we went about this in a really roundabout way, but that's why I'm saying his character, because so you have chivalry, and now this is another thing, because you were like, hey man, if I'm chivalrous dude, you know, I'm not gonna force my way upon people to make sure everything gets done right. Which is nice, cool, awesome, but also your perspective growing up as a dude raised in like the 21st century, which is better than being raised in like the 16th century as a man. Because if you were, let's say if you were a knight, for instance, let's just use the example of a knight.
Wait, slow down. But just like me, the guy in the movie is also born in like the 20th century.
No, I know. I'm gonna get there.
So what I'm saying is, like, for him, like, I don't have that much compassion for what happened to him.
Wait, I need to finish because I know he's raised in art, and I'm going to get to that. So, but let's use the example of a knight, for instance, so I could play off the better point.
Okay.
Because if you were the knight who let the woman walk home alone by herself, you would be shamed by the rest of your knighthood, the people around you, and they would think you weren't chivalrous at all, regardless of you being like, but I was trying to respect that person.
Depends on the context.
It does. Fair. But majority of the time, that's what's happening. We bring it back up to him, and you heard it, and they actually gave it to us in the film. He was like, I can't do that. I know that, a lot of dudes aren't like that, but I'm that guy, and I'm a pretty guy. I don't want to let you out. I can't let you go out by yourself, because he's thinking about the shame aspect of him as a man, which is still prevalent in our society.
Not like
we
that.
As men are like,
not like
it was
that.
exactly like that in the movie.
In our society, no, it's not like that. Like,
well, it's not
if
as like that as heavy as
her
you think.
leave and go to a hotel, nobody was gonna say shit, and nobody knew shit. So
nobody would have. But once he explained the story, some people would have looked at him sideways, and he would have felt the type of way, and he would have been embarrassed, which is why he acted the way he acted.
But nobody's gonna like take away his livelihood for that shit.
It's not about taking away your livelihood. Even the nights back then, the night I spoke about, he might have been denied it, but he would have still felt the shame. No one likes just sitting in shame.
Okay,
you say so what for you.
No, so what? Because like, what type of excuse is that? So that means
I'm
that
not
now
looking
you have
here for excuses. I'm giving you reasons. I'm not here to excuse his actions.
So we get to say so what to reasons, because what?
And you can say so what, which is true. I would also be like, so what? She's got to go live her life. I'm not going to feel shamed. I'm secure in myself. Why are we speaking about everybody's secure? He wasn't.
No,
he didn't let her
that's
go.
part of the problem.
That is part of the problem, which I'm trying to get to. But I'm not trying to speak in terms of chivalry, the concept. I'm speaking about the reality with him and why and just in terms of getting into some of his like behavior psychologically and building the character profile as an actor. So it's like, if you looked at his character and the way Bill presented, which I thought he did a good job of expressing that, because that's what I got. Me and you got two different things, but that's what I got is the fact there's a dude, because toxic masculinity is still a thing. We don't like commit to chivalry in the sense of the 16th century, but it is still in our brains, because you heard him. He was like, I can't let you sleep on, for instance, I can't let you sleep on this couch. I should sleep on the couch. Okay, I'm the man.
Let me dig into that. What do you feel like? What do you feel like all that means then? Like, what does that really
in terms
mean?
of his character, in terms of the plot of the film?
Talking about it and like, what does that mean to you? Like, what do you get out of that?
Literally him being there. So one, I don't think, because you are right in terms of the sexual assault, and you are right in the terms of we're going through the phases of what a man can look like either on the road. But I think Bill Skarsgård character kind of like represented like, oh, he's the nice guy trying to get something out of this. For me, Bill Skarsgård character was actually, all right, he's the nice guy on that line, walking that line of, whoa, am I weird? Because I want to make a move, but I don't want her to feel uncomfortable, but I think I like her. Before you get to the Justin Long phase where we're like, oh, hey, yo, baby, come on. Like, hey, I'm a nice dude. I did this. Before we ever get to the fucking father's phase where it's like, nah, you have no power. I'm the power. I'm doing what the fuck I want with you. You know what I mean? Bill Skarsgård character for me was like, hey, I'm too insecure to let you do this because I'll feel a lot of shame that I don't want to feel. So I am trying to control the situation, but I really genuinely do want to keep you safe, because I would feel horrible if anything happened to you out there. And it's kind of similar to how she kept trying to go back for people, but we'll get to that on the Black Commandments. But like, his character for me was literally just like, hey, I'm just trying to make sure you're good, because I would feel really awful if something happened to you. We never got to see.
Would he feel that awful?
From what I saw in that character, yeah.
But
if
I mean,
you don't
like,
feel that way,
no,
okay.
I feel like, would he genuinely feel awful? Not would he feel awful because she was part of the trope of his life at the time, but would he actually feel awful in a way that this is going to actually haunt him for the rest of his life?
Yeah, from the character I saw, that's what I got.
No.
If you don't believe it, that's cool, but that's what I got.
No, I don't even believe it for 1 second.
You don't believe it because you started making assumptions later on that we never got to.
What assumptions?
Well, you're assuming he wouldn't feel anything because the character you saw you thought was a creep.
No, he is a creep. It's not just I thought he was a creep. He is a creep. He turned into.
But they were in a really weird situation.
No,
he ended up dying.
He ended up dying because he's a creep. That's why all the men died in the movie. Because
he ended up dying because he was like, "Yo, listen, I didn't want you to leave."
Of creep.
There were different levels, but his wasn't the creep level for me.
Why?
Like,
I want to unpack that. Why?
Because so everything in terms of like white person mentality, but everything otherwise that he did in the movie mostly made sense. You came into this. Well, I didn't see the beginning. Was there anything that I missed? Because I missed like the first 10 minutes. Was there anything I missed that was of import?
You missed the first 10 minutes of the movie?
About give or take, I think. Because the movie started at 8:40.
Did you see when she first came to the house?
I saw about when she was like first walking in, but by the time I got there, he was already there.
Yeah, you didn't really miss anything, to be honest.
Sure, Logan?
Yeah, you did, because that's how the movie starts. Like, she drives up, the house is dark.
And just drives up to the house.
She tries to get out of the car, like it's raining, and like she tries to get the key. There's no key in the key box. Then she's like, she calls like Airbnb or her friend or whoever to be like, yo, there's no fucking key. What the fuck is going on? And then like, then the light turns on. Then the light turns on. Then he's like, he opens the door.
Okay.
Yeah, he opens the door. Then he's like, you know, what's going on, blah, blah, blah. And then, like, she was like, hey, why are you in this Airbnb? And he's like, well, I booked this on a different app, blah, blah, blah. And then so he was like, come inside because it's like raining and shit. And she comes inside. And then, like, they like talk for a little bit. And they're basically talking about, you know, what the fuck, you know, what the fuck is happening, you know? And so like trying to figure out what to do and how they're going to solve this issue.
Okay.
And
so then like, I'm caught up. No, we can go ahead and unpack because this is where my head is at. And like, it just is what it is. So
I feel like this is what I feel.
Yeah. Like. I didn't even get to finish, you asshole.
No, I thought you were finished.
No, I haven't actually unpacked anything at all. Well, no,
I thought you've been unpacking it a lot lately.
No. I'm just because so here's what happened for me in terms of context. They both got into an awkward situation. They're both in the Airbnb. It's raining outside. Neither can go. She's now her, and that's the way they told us the story. Her, she's like, there's a man in my home. I'm concerned. Him, he's like, shit, I'm the man in the home. I can vividly, obviously see that she's concerned. But I'm not leaving the fucking Airbnb that I also paid for to be in. I'm supposed to, she showed up. She's a woman, which I understand. But now I have to go struggle in the rain, go see if I can find somewhere to be just because she's uncomfortable with me, the stranger who hasn't done anything.
But he could have.
But
he could have done that.
He could have done that, but why should he have to?
Because, like you said, he's so worried about her safety and he's so worried about her that, like, he would just leave her. No, I'm not playing with you. I'm telling you that he would have just left her in the house because he knows that the house is a safe house. He's been in the house for like an hour or
and so now he has to go deal in the rain when he could obviously let her know that he's not going to be.
That would be the chivalrous thing.
No, that wouldn't be the chivalrous thing to do.
Why is that not the chivalrous thing all of a sudden?
Because you could also just live in the house.
Why is keeping her in the house while you're sleeping the chivalrous thing to do? Wow. You being a stranger to this woman, being a strange man.
She's the stranger, though.
No.
Didn't he open the door for her?
He did, but
wasn't he then in the house first?
But you're a chivalrous dude.
So, meaning you could bring her into your space, let her know nothing's going to happen to her.
Vessel. You believe she's the weaker vessel.
So you keep her safe in the space you're in.
You what?
So you can maybe provide safety in the space that she's in.
What's more, you're safer than a house?
That means she could stay in the home and you could let her know you're not going to do anything weird. He was already there.
But why do you have to stay there? Like you both.
Oh, because you don't want to go out and deal with the rain and stuff.
You both booked a place.
Yes.
You know that there's no other hotels in the city, but you feel like she should stay there with you.
It's not about her staying there with me. It's about this is this place.
Why?
This
okay,
is the
that's
space.
what I'm saying. Why isn't it about her staying there with you?
Because they were both in a horrible situation in terms of the context I got. They both booked the same place on accident, whatever happened. And now as like both still just being human beings, whether we're talking about man or woman or not, and both being human beings, this is a place of shelter that we can both share.
I know you're taking the context from like his side of the story, right?
No, just from the film, to be honest. That's what happened.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is why is it that on one hand, when we talk about like the beginning of the movie and stuff, like you're like, oh, well, I kind of see where he's coming from because like he's just trying to be a good person. He's trying to be a chivalrous dude. But then when we bring up, well, why the fuck does he have to stay to be a chivalrous dude? It's like, now they're both people, and there's like,
I wasn't saying that. I didn't say that. I just said I'm not saying they both have to stay there. They have to be here. He has to have the control. I'm just saying it's shelter. It's raining outside. It's dark. Why can't they just figure out a way to share the space as human beings?
Why do they both need to share the space?
Well, if she really wanted to leave,
because
because I'm not talking about the control aspect yet. And if she really wanted to leave, of course I would agree. You have to let her go, dude.
She did
I'm
really
just
want to
saying,
leave.
in the moment,
No,
yeah.
she did really want to leave. Like
I remember,
3 times.
and then this is why I brought up the chivalry being a little toxic thing, because in his mind, he's like, I can't let her go as the dude. If something happens to her, that's on me. But that's the later part. For the earlier part we're talking about now, we're talking about being in the space and trying to get to a level of comfort where we can share this space without feeling like,
Say that part again. You said he can't let her go because of why?
Remember, well, the insecurity, this is the toxic chivalrous part that I'm speaking of. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he should have let her go if she wanted to go. But in his head, he's like, this is the toxic part. I'm now less of a man. I'm now insecure with myself. That's what I was saying when I was talking about chivalry in that aspect, which you disagreed with. But that's what I mean.
Yeah, I disagree with it.
Because in some aspects, chivalry,
why do you think I disagree with it? Let me say
in terms of chivalry being toxic masculine on some capacity? Toxic masculinity in some capacity? Because that's what I'm talking about.
No, the other thing. Why do you think I disagree with the fact that...
Because that's what I was talking about just now. But
no, you said something right after that, and now I forgot what you said. So that's what I was trying to get you to get to. You said he was toxically masculine, and I wish I could rewind this thing, but I can't.
No, I know. Because that is the toxic masculinity part of chivalry. He wanted the reason he wanted the control is because like keeping you safe is what I'm supposed to do. But he couldn't see that she's her own human being, and if she says she wants to go, you let her go. That's a thing for a lot of men that we don't talk about a lot anymore. Because, like I said, chivalry is in fact dead.
But that's what I feel like you just described as well just now when we were like, he should have left the building. Like he should have left.
No, so here's the difference between that. So I'm not gonna, because here's my thing. Me personally as a man, if I was in that situation, like obviously if you're like, you want to go, cool. I'm not going anywhere. It's raining outside. It's dark. I'd like to be comfortable. I'd like to help you find comfort as a woman. But if you'd rather go ahead and do that. But I'm staying here. It's raining outside. I booked this Airbnb. You walked into the Airbnb I was in. I don't even know who you are. How do I know you aren't some psycho fucking killer? Where did you come from?
But he didn't start there.
No, I'm not speaking for him right now. I'm speaking for like me as a dude. But nonetheless, like if you came in and you were like, if I was insecure, if I was thinking, yo, I have to be chivalrous, if I was toxic masculine, I'd be like, hey, I have to control the situation. I can't let you go. You're a woman traveling outside at night. It's raining. Come on, girl. You serious?
Can we agree that it was bad for him to be in the house with her?
He didn't do anything.
Is that really the bar?
He kind of...
Is that the bar?
You have to like have been doing something. You had to something. I'm not just gonna be out here like, oh, he's evil just because he was in there. And
did I say he was evil?
I know, Logan. I didn't say you said he was evil. But my point is, in terms of the evidence that I'm giving, if I look at it like a legal case, in terms of the evidence we all got through the film, like the most we could book him for. Shit, could we even book him for anything?
Here's the problem. Because this is why I think in a lot of ways his character is probably the most important character of the whole movie.
No, I disagree with that entirely.
No, definitely. Like his character is the most important character of the movie, I think, especially throughout this conversation, is because of the fact that, like you said, quote unquote, he doesn't do anything. But that's not exactly true. In a lot of the ways, he's doing a lot. But he's just doing a lot of shit that, like, we just accept as a society. You know what I mean? What's remarkable to me about the lack of jump scares in the movie is that it creates this sense of anxiety. And in a way, because she's the protagonist and she's the perspective that we're seeing the movie through for most of the movie, right?
Yeah.
Then we are her character. You know what I mean? Because we're like, especially when you're watching a horror movie, right?
Yeah,
you're going through all the emotions of like the main characters and the people who are traumatized and inflicted of in that space. So like it's a trauma simulation for you as well. You know what I mean? And so that's why, like, you know, when we have a jump scare, we're like, oh, you know, because that shit ain't happening to you, but it's happening to the character, and that's why it's scary to you, right? One of the remarkable things that the movie does is it takes you through the experience of this woman who's in a more like to call it an awkward situation would to be putting it so lightly. She's in a situation where she's in a dark neighborhood. There's no other witnesses. There's nobody around. Nobody can hear her scream. She might as well be in outer space somewhere. Like she comes into this place, whether it was a good choice or not, with this other man.
Right,
you know what I mean?
And
he literally does have more power than her in the situation. She doesn't know anything about him. Like this person, like granted, like he doesn't know anything about her, and she could be a psycho killer, but majority of the time, like she as the woman in this space is thinking that this guy could kill me. Like I'm not bigger than him. Like I'm not stronger than him. Like this guy, he could do just about whatever he wanted.
And he's a white dude, and I'm a black woman.
Yeah, like there's so many different things going on, right? And so like she's the person that has the absolute least amount of power in the situation. And what the movie does a lot of the time is like it creates this sense of anxiety where like you have the same anxiety she has. Like what's going to happen to this person? What's going to happen to me? You know what I mean? I'm in this space. What is really going to happen to me while I'm in this space? What is my fate going to be while I am navigating what should be just an awkward moment, but is really so much more than that. You know what I mean? And so what we end up doing is we look at the situation as, well, nothing happened. You know what I mean? But that's not exactly true because a lot of something happened. The fact that you had that much anxiety in your body, the fact that you thought that you could end up hurt or dying or killed, the fact that like even when you went to bed that night, you didn't even feel completely safe. Like when they show her sleeping and then they pull out onto the bed and then show that like nothing is there.
I wouldn't say that because by the time she finally got to bed, funny, and that's another, so that's why I'm saying like the movie was playing with a lot and did that interesting because by the time she got to bed, she actually was comfortable at that point, in case you forgot. But by the time she got into her bed and was sleeping.
No.
Yeah,
because
she did.
Wait, that's part of the problem. That's part of what I'm saying is that like even in her, like I've even been in a situation where it's like, how safe am I? And it doesn't have to be like, you know what I mean?
There, yeah.
Like,
I'm not pretending that isn't the case.
Even when you do get comfortable, like you're still in another mode. It's like I was comfortable on my feet, but am I comfortable asleep? You know what I mean? Like you can say that she was comfortable then, but like the movie even presents a sense of danger even while she's sleeping.
No, see, this is what I'm saying. I mean? Not from her. So yes, I agree with you in terms of everything else you just said. In terms of that, because of course we always have to kind of be on the lookout for danger in general. That's kind of like basic survival.
What
thing.
I mean is like the horror movie uses the fact that it's a horror movie to present how much danger a person
is prevalent. And I do understand that.
No, how much danger a person in that situation is actually.
But wait, hear me out for a quick second. Hear me out for a quick second, because I get you there. But so, and like the movie does play on a lot of different like tropes and concepts, like it's supposed to. So we do have it in the beginning like that. And then they kind of show us what it's like when a man and a woman meet and they don't know each other in a situation like that. It is awkward. It is uncomfortable. She was scared, as she has right to be as a woman being alone by herself. But then it also shows in that same moment how even though you could be in a moment in a situation where it's like, you can kind of get to a place a little bit here and there where you're like, all right, I don't feel as bad. And the movie took us there. When it finally had them drinking together, she was like, I don't feel comfortable doing this. And then at the end of it, she's like, oh, you're who? Oh, wow, this is so cool. And on some level, despite the fact she wasn't feeling safe, she was like, all right, I don't feel, because we do like to pretend it's like, oh, women are like panicking at the same time. No, I'm
not pretending. I'm not saying that.
I'm not saying specifically just you. It sounded like it a little bit, but I know you didn't mean it like that. I know that's not what you're saying. I'm just saying we do like to pretend as a society like, oh, women are just these damsels. It's like, no.
I didn't say that. No,
I'm not saying you. I didn't say you.
That's not what I was trying to present either.
No, the point I'm making isn't about you, Logan. I wasn't saying that was you. I'm not saying that was you.
What I'm saying is that even when we say that somebody
Logan, wait. I was not saying that was you.
Okay.
I'm saying society.
No, I get you're not saying
that
it's me, but what I'm saying is that like even when we say that somebody is comfortable, we don't even acknowledge that the situation that they're in is still not a situation they
It's
should
still
be
a
in.
precarious one. And I'm not saying that's not true. I'm just saying in the moment, they built us up from a level of panic to people getting to know each other and getting comfortable, to where she was like, I want to sleep on the couch because I don't want to be locked in a room. I'd rather have an open space, to being like, all right, he's kind of funny. He set my bed up. I'm going to sleep here. And then boom, her door is open. And she was like, oh, I'm back here again. Oh, fuck. I thought he was going to be okay, but obviously not. It was never in the first place. The door's open. She went out to be like, yo, did you open my door, dude? Because that's weird. And confronted him.
Mm-hmm.
And she was brave for that. And I thought that was really cool. And she's like, yo, what happened? And he ended up being the one who was scared.
That was scary as shit. Because like if he did open that door and then he like decided
he was
sleeping
and like, I was like, I thought she was gonna get fucked up. But she was like, but I still nonetheless, like, I have to respect that, because she could have just panicked. She didn't. She was like, I'm gonna like, dude, hey, what the fuck is going on? And we thought it was him who did that, right? We're being led to believe that it's on him that's anxious. But in the moment before that, it was like, there was a brief moment of like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna just deal with this. It's not so bad, which could be a moment to be taken advantage of course. But just in terms of like what it was like right there. And then we get to, I'm scared again. Because it's jumping around. It's basically jumping around the relationship between how, you know, men and women who don't know each other get to that like meeting point. What actually happens? How do I feel in this moment? Yeah. And that moment should have been the worst. Everything you said about that, that's whoa, what are you doing in my house? But mind you, it's even still playing with sex relations there. Because like I said, he's not in the wrong in terms of being in the house. You know what I mean?
Technically, yeah.
Well, not just technically. When you think about it, he showed up to an Airbnb that he rented. And then this woman came in. Like, if
but
anything,
she also rented the Airbnb. Like,
I know, and I'm not saying that isn't the case. I'm just saying, because we got a lot of her perspective, but in terms of that film, we have to also still look at the rest of them. So she walked into the house, and mind you, there's the other thing, because it's like, fuck, here I am, and oh, a woman walks into my house. Mm-hmm. Let's say you're a man, you rented this Airbnb, it was just supposed to be you, everything's good. And then a woman you have no idea exists, you don't know who this person is, walks into the home that you were in. Now you have two options.
He told her to come in the house. Like she didn't just walk in the house.
But he didn't expect her to be there, obviously. But he saw a woman
that's a big thing right there. You invited this woman into your home.
Okay, so what should he have done? Turned her away in the rain?
Yes.
See, that's you. And
it's not just me. Yes, that's what you should have done.
You turn people away, you turn strangers away. Yeah, and I feel you on that.
So you saying whenever a stranger comes by, you just let them in the house?
Logan, no, but this is what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying. I get that. But this is what I'm saying in terms of toxic chivalry. He was like, oh, there's a woman out in the rain. Even you on a little bit is like,
you wanted to fuck.
That's not an excuse. It's a reason.
That is an excuse. You saw this woman in the rain. If there was the fucking inbred woman at the end of the movie and she was standing there, would he would have let her in? She's sitting in the rain.
Would have like attacked him. You want to know what else he played with?
You want to know what else? You want to know what else the song played on? Now and let her in.
I would have tried to be, but you want to know what else the movie played on?
No.
Our perception of people and how they look. First, what do you call it? My fault. Not first assumptions, but like first impressions. Like, oh, that woman seems safe, so I should be nice to her. If the other woman came in looking like a fucking goblin, like is the case in Frankenstein and Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, my first, impression is going to be like, oh, that's a freak monster that's going to attack and kill me based on how she looks.
No, it could have been just like some like inbred lady in the rain, naked.
Inbred, not a fucking monster to kill me. Okay, all right, cool. That's kind of like,
oh my god, what happened? Oh my god, let me come inside. You look horrible.
Like, are you okay?
Until
she starts and then biting you off and like, yo, that woman's too big. That doesn't look like a human. We're not okay. So I guess that's cool.
But my point is
that he should have turned her away in the rain. I get that. Rather than bringing her in.
The way you're saying it is full of justifications, and it's just wrong. It is like so fucked up. Like, no, it's not about just turning some random woman away. I
realized I was fucking with you.
The person comes up to the door. You had no business like inviting them inside. Like, you could have solved everything that they wanted to solve. They could have done that on the porch. They're still in the porch. There's still a porch to the house. You decided to bring in this woman to your house, and then you decided to not let her leave the house. This is so much more of a problem than if you would let that person go somewhere. Like, even if that person died somewhere else that night and the cops had like came to your house and been like, hey, you were the last person to see this person, be like, yeah, but she ain't in here. Like, she ain't dead in here. You can dust
This
her
is what I'm
fingerprints.
saying.
Ain't shit happening here. So it's like, listen, yes, you, regardless of the fact, you want a dead person in your house or you want a dead person outside. So that's what I'm saying. Like, there's so many justifications.
Okay.
There's so many justifications and excuses that men come up with like all the time that we've been normalized to come up with, and we've been normalized to just.
That's why I brought up toxic chivalry
to accept. But I mean, like, even beyond that, like the whole situation.
It doesn't go as far beyond that as you think.
No, it does. It does. It goes a lot further, because the fact that like
I just mean in this like instance.
No, I'm saying even
you.
in this instance, I'm saying it goes a lot further than that, because like he was in the wrong the whole time, and he remained in the wrong the more he wouldn't like let her leave the house. But we don't look at him being in the wrong. We don't look at him as like the bad guy or one of the bad guys. That's why I
looked at him being in the wrong later on.
That's why I say that he's like one of the most important characters in the movie, because of the fact that he's
the one we can most relate to on some level.
Not that. Well, I guess. Well, that would be pretty important if that's the case. But
maybe not relate, but like he's the one closest to what we usually see. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, we usually interpret it as like a good person or a good guy, or the
like
way
not
like
necessarily. Yeah, like
yeah,
you're gonna meet one of him before you meet a rapist or the fucking crazy dad.
Exactly. And like, he's the normalized way we think of like how interaction went well, but not necessarily.
I never said it went well. I said it was toxically chivalrous.
No, I'm talking about just the interaction, where it's like overall, like you said earlier, nothing happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's like, yes, in a court of law, would he be convicted of anything? No. But that doesn't really mean anything. You know what I mean?
Well, I feel you. It's a right versus wrong thing.
Yeah, it's more
legal.
of that.
Yeah,
it's not. That. It's not necessary. It doesn't have to be like the legal system or else. Like, it's not a good situation. And I think like a lot of men are just like, and a lot of people in general are like brought up to think that like that situation was okay. And I think like a lot of people are going to watch the movie and come away with the fact that like, you know, nothing happened, and like, oh man, why they fucking kill up Bill Skarsgård? Like, even if they came to the conclusion that like the movie is about like these type of things and this type of trope, like they'd be like, there is like a moment where you scratch your head about the Bill Skarsgård character. But that's why it's so important, because it's like he's where it starts, but there's a reason why he's where it starts, because there's so much happening there that is seemingly okay, but it's not okay. You know what I mean? Like, and there's a lot of gray area there. And like for a lot of people, maybe even if they were in that situation, they were the girl, they would feel like, you know, that wasn't too much of a problem, right? But these things are so case by case that like what you think is okay in that moment doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter that much, because it's like, if the person doesn't respect any type of boundaries at all, like just because he happened to not respect your boundaries and you happen to be the person that's okay with that, doesn't mean that that's an okay thing. You know what I mean?
That, yeah.
So it's like, to me, that character is what a lot of guys think is like, okay, that's not really a problem. He didn't really do anything. She's fine. Like, she's safe. Like, she's not safe. Like, she's just not assaulted yet. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like if you was to sleep in a house all night with like 3 tigers, you know, and then like you survived the night, but like, were you safe? Like, that's what I mean. Like, that's what the situation. That's what I think a lot of guys don't want to like think about, you know, because there are situations where you're like, you could be alone with a woman, and then like it's like, what are the rules here? And we don't really teach all the rules that well, and people do get hurt. Like people get hurt very very quickly, and like they get hurt in situations where you would not even think that like you're hurting them sometimes, and that's not a good thing. You know what I mean? And so like we have to one place or another start to begin to think about like, am I doing something that I shouldn't be doing? You know what I mean? And what does
Mhm.
that mean? Like, what does that mean? Not to just what my perspective is, because like in each story, like all the men are only thinking about their perspective and where they're coming from, but they're not necessarily thinking about the women and that they're affecting. They're not thinking about the women. Like even Justin Long's character was so funny because like he's in a murder house, and like because he owns the house, like he's trying to figure out how he can sell it and like get the most real estate out of it. So he's like
Yeah.
measuring the torture chamber and stuff, and it's just like he doesn't care about like the women that he's affected in his life. He doesn't care about like he's only seeing everything from his perspective. You know what I mean? He only like all the men only see the things from their perspective, and then all the women end up getting used. And so like all the women end up getting hurt or used in the movie. And that's like even like the monster like that was the whole thing. And that's to me that's it's crazy. I don't know. I don't know how else to describe it, but it's like not to end it on a downer, but like it's just like people need to be more, I think, more aware of like certain things, and like we need to like I think listen to people more when certain things happen, and like
No, that's fair. Yeah.
what we think is safety is probably not safety, and we need to revisit a lot of ideas around what makes women safe in a situation in any
Well, see,
given
but
situation
that's
or not.
also complicated because if, let's say,
If you
something
have
did
three
happen to
lions
her
and they're in the house
and nothing happens to you because they were in control and not trying to eat you and they were fine, you were technically safe.
no, you're not safe. You're
No,
not
just because
safe.
it's a lion capable of eating you, if it's a lion that you've grown a relationship with and are comfortable with, and you stay in the house knowing or feeling like they're not going to attack you, you feel safe in that moment. Whether you are safe or not, I guess is the better way to say it. Regardless, is what I was going to say is that if something had happened, because we're talking about how do we maintain the safety, like, I don't know, it's complicated because on one end, like if the police show up, they would have been like, oh, she went in, this is none of your fault. But at the same time, they would have been like, you're fucking dumb. Why'd you let her leave? And it's like, what?
No, the cops aren't going to say that. That's not true. The cops are not going to ask
Maybe
you
not
why
like
you
in a
let
professional
why
setting.
no what they would ask you is like, why didn't you let her leave? Like that is a
No, if
like
something I'm saying if
wait,
she had
stop.
left and something happened to
hold
her.
up before we get like legally for all the men out there, do not spread that false information, please, because you're gonna get a lot of dudes in trouble. No, fellas, let her leave. Let me like hashtag let her leave, because
Yes,
the
that's
police.
not what I'm saying.
I know, but I'm saving like us out of a lot of legal trouble right now. The police are going to ask you why you didn't let this girl leave, and the
Which is
last thing
true,
y'all need
yes.
to say is because the Milk and Toast podcast told you not to let the woman leave. Let that
Yes.
girl leave.
Okay, cool. Let her leave. This is true.
Her house, your house.
I'm saying if something happened to her and because it's raining, it's dark, and something happened to her out there.
Let that woman leave.
And if something
care.
happened to her, the police are gonna look at you sideways and be like, "You just let her go in the dark
look
like
at you
this?"
sideways, regardless, because that's their job. Their job is to look at you sideways. Let the woman leave.
I'm not saying not to do that. Yes, let her leave. I'm just saying if something happens to her out there,
it happened over there. It didn't happen in your house.
It happened in your house. It happened over there, so you're not going to be legally responsible for anything.
That's right.
But then still, at the same breath, they're going to be like, you didn't think this shelter was a good place?
Fellas, what do you... No, they're not going to say that. I've never heard a cop say that. Where have you ever heard a cop say that?
We haven't exactly dealt with an instance like this in general.
Where have you... Okay, if you never had that happen and you've never dealt with that, why would you tell everybody that the police are going to say that?
I didn't say the police are going to say that. I just said they're going to look at you sideways.
You just said that the police are going to ask you, why did you let her leave the shelter?
Well, no. Yeah, you're right. In that sense, yeah, because this is a shelter. No, my fault. This is a shelter. Why did you let this person just go?
The police aren't going to ask that. They're not.
I have a feeling they will.
They're not. You can't have a feeling about legal shit. You'll get people in trouble. You can't just have a feeling about. Don't listen to Mitch. Let me tell you something. I let Mitch say a lot of shit on this podcast. I am warning you this time, and this time only. Do not listen to this man. He is going to get you sent under the jail.
I'm not telling you to force you to stay.
Police are not going to ask you why you let somebody leave your house. Please do not listen to this man. You will go to jail. That is my disclaimer as, the producer right now. Yes. Do not listen to Mitch. He will get you going to jail.
I'm telling you, they're going to ask.
That's fucked up. That was messed up.
That we live in a fucked up society.
Let's move on. I have an apology to make. So
for what?
Well, why won't you wait and listen? Is that a cancer thing?
I don't think so. I don't know.
Because like trying to spoil the thing for yourself, is that like a thing cancers do?
Well, you said I need to apologize and I'm on the show and you didn't tell me you were making an apology. So I was like, wait, what?
I didn't know I had to.
Am I making it?
Did I have to clear an apology?
Because on some level, with me being here, it's an apology on behalf of we, the show, with you being the producer. And I'm like, wait, what did we do? But that's how my brain thought.
That's how your brain thought. There we go. Now we're getting down to it. I
asked the question, what are you apologizing for?
To the psychosis. I have an apology to make. So a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about Blade. And I said that Mahershala Ali wasn't going to be Blade anymore. And like, I could have sworn you guys.
Oh, you did say that. I didn't say that, but you did say that. Yeah.
No, yeah, I could have sworn that like I read somewhere in an article he wasn't gonna be Blade no more. Like the producer said that he wasn't gonna be Blade. I was wrong about that because he's still gonna be Blade. And there's no article. I can't find the fucking article. So that's a
because there was no article.
Yeah, there probably wasn't. That's something that I'm sorry about. Yeah, I'm dumb. I'm a dumb. The thing is, I think about that all the time. We say a lot of false shit on the show. Mm-hmm. And we never, ever, fact check. We never go back, say sorry.
That's because we're not a source of factual information per se.
That's not responsible. You can't say that.
Entertainment.
Okay, wow, Alex Jones. Nice.
I hate to be that guy.
Do you feel like you have any type of responsibility for the things you say on the show?
On this show?
Yeah.
No, not at all. Not even a little bit. I'll talk to the people who want to talk to me, and if I need to apologize because I really hurt you, I will.
You feel like that's irresponsible?
No, we're not a news source. I said this before. We're not a news source.
Just because you're a news source, you're not a news source doesn't mean.
I'm just saying. I feel like if you're a source
from saying bullshit.
No, but if you're a source that goes, we're here to display and only contribute factual information. Okay, we literally come on the show and go, hey, don't quote us. We're just saying our thoughts all the time. Like I'm not.
Can I ask you why somebody should trust the things you say then on the show? I'm
not asking them to trust the things I say. You're not supposed to be trusting me. You hold me accountable.
You don't feel like people should trust you on the show?
I'm saying they don't have to. If you feel like you can and I've built that trust in you, awesome. If you feel like you don't, even more awesome, because you shouldn't just be trusting me blindly. You should be holding me accountable like you do on the show every fucking day. The fuck is he talking about? I don't feel like I have to. This is what I've been telling you. You're always trying to present us as kind of like this source of extremely factual information. Some of the stuff we say is, and when we're talking about stuff like that, we'll say like,
you don't feel like that's confusing?
Maybe, but we're not. We're an entertainment show, dude. We're an entertainment. We're not in fucking news. We're not a news media, political fucking. Yeah, this is my thing.
I feel like that perspective is just so irresponsible because
if you do, it might be, but I don't.
Because no, you can't say things like Mahershala Ali isn't going to be Blade and just leave that up to
Actually, you can, and then people are going to either be like, "Yo, is that true? Oh, that wasn't true. Why did he say that? Hey, that wasn't true. What the fuck?" And you have to do what you just did right now, which we'll do any day of the week because we're not a fucking serious news source. And move on with our fucking lives. That is legit how I feel. Yeah.
Your perspective on the world just blows my mind.
That isn't my perspective on the world. That is just for us in this show.
No, what? What the fuck? Mitchell.
No, straight up. No, straight up. Like that's not necessarily my world perspective, but like if you're talking about in terms of media, yeah, that's my perspective. Like if you're an entertainment series and you're here to entertain, right? You're not some like
So you feel like Fox News is completely justified in what it does?
No, but you have to fact check them.
No, right? No, they say that they're not a news source; they're an entertainment source.
They do?
Yes, they brand themselves as that.
That's crazy to me. But then, like,
literally all the right-wing sites do that. That's what they do.
So crazy. But this is also why I say you don't just go trusting anybody. You hold people accountable, and that's what I mean when I say that. Don't trust me. Why would you trust me? You don't feel like
people who express information have any responsibility to express factual information or be responsible for the information that they express?
That isn't what I said. That isn't what I said. But on some level, I feel where you're going. The only responsibility you have, I feel, is to do the best with the information you have and then keep yourself, like, you should be holding yourself accountable to your audience is the only thing I feel. Like, that's the only real thing. Your audience should be able to hold you accountable at any point because you're a fallible human being like everybody else is the only thing I feel. No one should be trusting anybody in the first place.
What? No, that's not right.
No, that's how I feel. And you can take that because that's how I feel about the whole world. That says a lot
about your trust issues. I'm going to say that.
No, that's fair.
Yeah.
I don't feel you should trust human beings. We've literally historically seen trust how
so you
trusting
don't trust
people
anybody?
Blindly? No. Trusting blindly. As in like, oh, this person said that. I should take his matter as a fact just because they said it. No.
Why not?
You don't trust anybody blindly.
You don't have any trustworthy people in your...
I have plenty of trustworthy people in my life, but I didn't trust them blindly. They built that relation with me, which is what I'm saying. You don't go out here trusting people blindly. The fuck is wrong with you? That's why we get as many of the horrible situations we
trust
get.
Blindly.
That's cool. Yeah. I don't.
I trust you blindly.
You've earned your trust with me. You shouldn't. Well, I'm telling you right now, you just put a burden on me that I don't want.
That's too bad.
I know. But that's on you.
No, it's on you.
No, it's on you.
No, because you've been mad trustworthy. You said like, why build up all that trust if you don't want to be trustworthy?
I'm so great. I know. I'm so worth it because I earned that
manipulative?
With you. I'm not. I earned that trust with you. But you want to trust me blindly? Go ahead.
All right. So now I trust you.
Which is cool because I earned that trust with you. But if you want to trust me blindly that's your decision.
Yeah, I trust a lot.
I'm not saying I'm not judging you for that, mind you. If you choose to trust in me blindly and I let you down, that in truth is on you. But nonetheless, like that's your choice.
That's not right. No, that's not right. I don't think that's right. No, that's
exactly.
Not true.
This is where we differ.
True.
But yeah,
that's not
if you
true.
trust me blindly and I let you down, it's actually on you. You want to put it on me and you want to put that burden on me, but it's actually on you. You're not supposed to trust anyone blindly. People who earn your trust, obviously, you're going to be like, yo, if they do tell me to do this or say this, I trust them because, we have that relationship, which is good. And 99 point whatever % of the time, you're going to be good. But nonetheless, you're not supposed to do that. That's actually where human beings run into all their problems. You don't trust anyone blindly. That's why we have problems with our presidents. You're supposed to have a system to hold them accountable. That's one of our issues.
There's a big difference between trusting the president and then trusting somebody
Logan,
who you see every day.
Obviously, yes, you are correct.
Difference.
Obviously, there is a big difference.
A massive difference.
There is a big difference, but at the heart of it, it's actually the same because you're not supposed to trust someone blindly.
Not because you'll never meet Donald Trump. You'll never meet Joe Biden.
Says who?
You'll never meet Barack Obama. You see the same person like every day, and then they're like a trustworthy person. You're like,
because they earned your trust, not because you trusted them blindly. You mean to tell me, Logan, that when you first met me, you was going to trust everything I told you to do and say? No,
you
right?
You seem all right. You seem straight. Yeah.
Yeah. I bet I did because that's who I choose to make myself. Nonetheless, I know damn well you wasn't going to trust me blindly.
You saying it's a front?
No, I'm saying who I am. But nonetheless, you should hold me accountable.
You said that's who you choose to make yourself.
Well, yeah, that's the decision I've made with my life to be that person. That's who I am.
To be a trustworthy person.
Yes, but that doesn't mean you should trust me blindly. But that doesn't mean you trust me blindly.
What should I trust you about?
You should be holding me. Well, I said don't trust me blindly.
But yeah, I know. So what should I trust you about?
Whatever you feel comfortable trusting me about.
Like what? What should I feel comfortable trusting you about?
Whatever you decide you want to trust me about. That's your decision. That's what I'm saying. You're not putting your burden on me. I'm telling you, do not trust me blindly. I am not an infallible person. I don't feel like
I could trust you anymore.
I am an imperfect... Well, then honestly, this is a good conversation because you no longer trust me blindly and you'll hold me accountable like you should be.
I don't, like you trust you blindly. I don't trust you. I don't trust you.
I'm sorry, I've lost your trust.
Yeah, this is fucked up.
But
like you told me I shouldn't trust you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe that.
So that's some snake energy. So I'm like, nah.
I'm sorry this has happened. I didn't mean to take away the one person you trusted most in this world. But on a serious note, like that's my worldview. You don't just trust people blindly. You hold people accountable. And in the what do I want to say? In the mindset of always holding people accountable, regardless of whether you feel you can trust them or not, you create a proper system of checks and balances. Because if you go about blindly trusting someone and they've been a good person for 10 years, obviously they've earned the trust. That's good. But you decide, all right, I don't got to check nothing. I don't got to hold them accountable no more. That 11th year, they decide to do the most wild shit you ever seen and it blindsides you because you was like, oh, they was good. There is no good in terms of the human species. And well, let me rephrase that. But there is no just like, oh, they're altruistic and wholly just a perfect being because that doesn't exist in human society.
I've asked this before on the show, but who hurt you?
Technically God, but I love them regardless. But
was it God? I feel like it was a little more personal than that.
Obviously, because it all starts there, and then we just get down to this. But no, the fact is, it wasn't So funny enough, this mindset doesn't come from me being hurt. This mindset comes from my observance of the rest of the world.
You gotta get out more.
I haven't been hurt at all.
You gotta get out.
Well, I said I haven't been hurt at all. That's okay. So that was a fucking lie.
Yeah,
but this wasn't someone. This wasn't somebody hurt me, and I'm like, yo, I gotta get revenge. This is just as I observe and see what the problems in our systems are. It's because we look at some people, they do great things, and then we go, oh man, they're gonna keep doing that. They're gonna be great the whole entire time. And then we stop holding people accountable. We stop checking certain things. We stop going, hey, what's up with this? And then we get surprised when we see R. Kelly who's serially raped a whole bunch of underage women. Because nobody on his team was like, what is you doing, bro?
But they weren't like, what was you doing? Because they was all getting paid.
They didn't care. They chose not to care. This isn't just about trust. This is just about accountability in general as well. You supposed to be checking niggas. Everybody getting checked on a regular basis. What's up with you? We don't do that. We don't check in with each other enough. Like, I know, jokes aside, I know this was funny, but jokes aside, and I know you're like, yo, what the fuck, Mitch? This is surprising to hear from you, which I get.
Not really. Not really that surprising, but
Okay, cool. I hope not, because I'm like, damn, nigga, you look mad hurt right now. But it was just like, yo, Mitch, really? But as I've seen from the rest of the world, you don't just blindly trust in human beings. Human beings are not a species capable of being blindly trusted. You hold each and every single member accountable to make sure they're upholding what should be the best standard of ourselves. Because otherwise, if you haven't historically seen, human beings will not hold themselves to that standard. This isn't me being hurt. This is just what it is.
I think that's such a horrible way to live life. Because I feel like you should be able to put your trust in people. And if
that's not what I said.
And what I'm saying is that you should be able to put your trust in people. And if the problem so happens to be that they let you down, then that's just a part of life. People let people down. I think we put so much emphasis on living these idealized versions of what life actually is. Life is where you trust people, and that's a part of life. And people let you down, and that is also a part of life. And that's it's not okay, but in the grand scheme of things, it's okay.
Don't you say that. Don't you say that.
In the grand scheme of things,
no, it's just not okay. In the grand scheme of things, it's even worse. It's not okay at all.
It's
in
not
the grand scheme.
Even worse. No, and I think people need to stop that. They need to back off from this idea that
complete 180.
Wow.
Yep, that's
You
me.
are both. You are the most forgiving and unforgiving person I've ever met in my entire life.
At the
I
same
swear to
time.
God. Like, just like 30 minutes ago, you were giving me this man's life story, like this fictional character, like his whole like
Ain't I the
background of why
greatest?
he's like, why we should like give him so much grace. And
No,
then
I
like
didn't
in
talk
the
about
on
Grace. I
the
said he was toxically chivalrous, is what I literally
yeah, but
said.
like you were saying that like, that he was
I
like
was explaining
you
why
don't
though.
that like at the end of the day you didn't think he was a bad guy. And it was just like, all right. But like at the end then like it's like maybe we should be okay with the fact that like things don't always go our way. And like, nah, fuck that. It's just like, it's like
But no, see, but please come back to it, because like I said, I wasn't saying you can't put your trust in anybody. I said not to blindly trust anyone. People earn each other's trust every day, and I think, of course, we should be earning each other's trust so we can trust each other. I'm saying there is at no point where we stop holding each other accountable, though. That's where you run into problems.
I don't think trust like erodes accountability. I think the only
No,
person
but
who
I'm not saying that either.
I
You
think
do
the only
realize that.
person who erodes their I think that's see this is what irks me about the whole
Yeah.
thing when I
Go
say
ahead.
that
Go
like
ahead.
like you have a responsibility to the words you say and you're like no you don't because you didn't have to trust me. That just releases the person who's saying whatever or like from their actions. That is actually where accountability does not lie with the victim. Accountability lies with the perpetrator. Like it doesn't lie with the person who
Oh, that's
is
what you took from that. No, I get you. I agree with that.
but that is that though. You know what I'm saying? If you're saying that you said something to me and I believed it and it was my problem for believing it, you know what I mean? Then you're not being accountable. The accountability then is on me to make sure that you're accountable, which isn't accountability for you. That's just accountability for me. That's me making you accountable. But when do you make yourself accountable?
Well, you should be holding yourself accountable
No,
in
when do
general.
you make yourself accountable? Like as the perpetrator.
Me personally? Oh,
Yeah.
just the perpetrator in general? Well, the perpetrator doesn't care.
So you're saying you don't care?
No, I'm saying the perpetrator doesn't care.
No, when I asked you in the beginning, I'm like, don't you think you have a responsibility to the shit you say on the show? And you're like, no.
No, in this show, no. Hold me accountable. Yeah.
So you're
straight
like
up.
so you're the perpetrator. You don't think you're like, accountable for shit.
Not in this sense.
That's
In this
fucked
sense
up.
for the show? No. Yeah. I know, yeah, but in this show specifically, because if we're talking about my life, sure, but in terms of the show and the entertainment aspect, I'm here to say things and telling the audience to like, yo, listen, if you have an issue, tell me, let me know. I'm not like this master source you have to listen to blindly. That's why I brought up blindly trusting people, because it's not about trust, it's about blind trust. People earn trust every single day of the week.
No, I think
Like-
people should be able to be like accountable for themselves. I think that's the thing. Like it's like
Well, the problem is, like, I feel you on some level, but where it's like, it's almost like saying, like, a person who's going to hold themselves accountable is going to just perfectly exist. Because realistically speaking,
that's not what I mean.
I know that's not what you're saying. I'm saying it's almost because it's like, realistically speaking, sure, we want people to hold themselves accountable. Wouldn't you love it if the person who robbed you turned himself in and gave the money he stole back to you?
What I mean is that like yes, I would love that, but
Of course, we would all love that.
but at the same time that does happen sometimes,
It does, which is great.
which means that's a thing that is possible, right?
Of course.
So because that person made it possible, it's like the kid that like ruins it for everybody. You know what I mean? It's like, oh man, why'd you gotta be the first person to turn yourself in? Now they're gonna think we could all turn ourselves in. And it's like, yeah, you all can turn yourselves in.
You should be doing
So
that.
it's like there's an idea and there's an ability of like self accountability that does exist. And so like
Yes.
if you just ignore that and say that, well, that's not the norm, so not everybody's going to do that, so it doesn't exist, then you're just devolving into this world where it's like it's almost like a hellscape at that point. It's like nobody is good. Nobody is like yeah, basically nobody is good. Nobody has a capacity for good. All of these different things that are just negative and horrible. You know
I
what
feel
I
you,
mean?
but I understand
Because
why you
where
feel
does
that
it
way.
end up? It doesn't end up anywhere good at the end of the day if
I
nobody
understand
can be
why you feel
accountable.
that way.
Nobody
I get
can
why
be
you took it
held
there.
accountable for themselves. It's not about the question isn't whether or not you do hold yourself accountable. It's whether or not you are accountable. You know what I mean?
Those are two different things, because if you are accountable, that's from the perspective of the person. Like,
no, that's from the perspective of everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I mean. And that's the thing. So like, I hear you. I do. Because it's like, yo, we should be working towards people holding themselves accountable. It's just realistically speaking, no. That's not going to happen. Like, this is what I hate to be that realist.
No, that's not true. See, that's what my point was, is that like that's not true realistically speaking, because people do turn themselves in. Yes, so it is realistic that people turn themselves
people in a capacity that would make that a societal norm. If that's what you're saying, because it's not.
What do you mean?
Like, because you're like, oh, people do that, and I'm like, yeah, and it's awesome. Sadly, it's not the norm. If a person finds $1 million on the side of a street, sure, we get the stories, and of course, obviously, we don't have like millions of stories of people finding $1 million.
But is that enough to create a mindset about? Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, you hold people accountable.
That's exhausting. I'm not doing that. It is,
but living is exhausting.
No, because it's not right to turn everybody into a prison warden, where everybody is
not
like
saying you have to turn anyone. It's just fact check. You're a detective. Yeah, deal with it.
No, that's not right. I have a big problem with that. I have a big problem with the idea that like media sources and like everybody else that like has a media outlet. This is part of the reason why I made this show, is that can just like say whatever they want and be like, fuck off if you don't like it. It's just like, it's like, you know what I mean?
But that's not even that is still not what we're saying.
I'm not saying that.
I know. I'm saying, but even still in that sense, because that's why I was like, because this is also a thing. It's like, let me see if I can find an example. It's like when parents try to be like, hey, musician, you can't make that music because my child is going to listen to it and that's going to affect them a certain way. And rather than being like, hey, I'm a parent and I need to make sure my kid is good and I'm there to make sure what they're listening to. Obviously, I can't be everywhere, but rather than being able to be in their lives to the point where I can make sure that isn't even a problem, I go, hey, this is your problem. Mm-hmm. You need to fix it. And it's like, whoa. Now we're like, throwing thing everywhere except for ourselves. Mm-hmm. That was actually not the example I was looking for.
Yeah, but I feel like you touched on something right.
But
it's that like I think that we've put the emphasis too much, because we are so used to doing the punishment, that we've put the emphasis too much on other people to like do the work of accountability instead of like the actual perpetrator and doing the work of accountability.
I actually disagree.
You know what I mean?
No, but I feel what you're saying, but I actually think it's actually more we're looking for somebody else to do the job of holding someone accountable so I don't have to.
No.
That's how I literally look at it.
No, because we do a lot of like holding other people. Like you said, robbers don't turn themselves in. We turn them in ourselves. You know what I mean? So it's like we are so used to having a society in which you're not accountable, but people are accountable for you, which means
but like, what you just said, you were like, robbers don't turn themselves in. Mm-hmm. We go get them. Yeah. But the we you're speaking about then isn't the majority of the populace. Those people will usually find someone they think could do the job to go get them.
No, we give those people a job. It is the majority.
Yeah, we do, but we're not doing the job ourselves.
No, it is the majority of the populace, because when the majority of the populace decides we don't want police no more, there ain't no more police. So it is us. Like, I see, that's what I mean.
We aren't the police force.
The police force only exists. You have a dog in your house because you want a dog there.
Right, but that doesn't make you the dog.
That doesn't make you the dog, but you know that the dog does dog shit. So like the dog is in the house. Like you put it there.
Right,
which we put the police here. So like if we didn't want to have police anymore.
To take the responsibility off of ourselves.
No, that's not what it is. It's that, what are you just going to be the robber catcher now, Mitch? What are you talking about?
Well, in one sense, that is kind of, I'm not saying it's like, this isn't a talk on like, oh, that's good or bad. It's just that like, we're not looking to do that. So we're trying to set something up, which isn't a bad thing. It's just that like, oh, okay. So now I can kind of take a step back. And it's like in my head sometimes, like maybe actually we shouldn't. Even if, for instance, even if I'm not going to go be the police officer, maybe I should be more involved with what the police force is doing, which in our society isn't realistically going to happen, but that's where I'm going.
You put a system in place because you want the system to work. That's like saying that like...
But more than off, they don't.
No, we have
Well, they don't work
we have
great.
computers because we want to make podcasts and do math. You know what I mean? And write essays and like make movies and stuff. That's why we have
Mhm.
computers and all types of other wonderful things that computers do. I can't say that like we have computers and to like skirt the responsibility of like doing math and everything like
No,
that.
but you can't bring in that
These things are
example because we're
tools.
talking people.
No, yes,
Yeah.
I am because one of the problems with the police is that we humanize police too much instead of just being like, this is your fucking job. Like we don't humanize the people at McDonald's. We just say that they're fast food workers. The
Yeah.
police provide a service because they're service members. We created a service which is a public safety service, and we call that the police. You know what I mean? So they, for better or worse, perform a function in our society because we gave that function there. We built up. That's how you build a society. There's a water management company. There's a fire department. There's a police department. There's an air department. There's departments of things that take care of things because these are things that we needed taken care of. And we all pay into these systems because we all pay taxes and they all pay the salaries of all of these services that we all need. And we all collectively pay taxes because we all enjoy the trappings of those things. So it's not like we're completely devoid of the responsibility because we are accountable for all of these things. You know what I mean? What a lot of politicians like to do at the end of the day is remove us from the equation and say that, like, you know, and make these things into their own thing as if they are the entities by themselves, as like the police are just the police and they just happen to be there, and the fire department just happens to be there, and the water and the department that takes care of the environment just happens to be there. But it's not like they don't ever put it into terms of like, you know, this is this department exists because you pay taxes into it, and like you could literally vote it out of existence any day you wanted it to. You know what I mean? Like that's how we are accountable. You know, we're just not aware of that accountability all the time, and you are all the time accountable. And you, Mitch, and the rest of the broader audience, we are all responsible for these things.
I'm aware.
What we don't do is we don't take the responsibility on ourselves. What I was talking about is that like when you remove the accountability from yourself, you are making somebody else accountable. When you're saying that like, no, somebody, like I can say whatever I want and somebody should have to fact check me, I shouldn't have to fact check myself. You are removing the responsibility off of yourself and you're putting that on somebody else. So that's what I mean. Is
no,
that,
I
like,
know for the show. Yeah, I'm okay with that.
No, I'm not okay. That's why.
I know you're not, you know, but
that's
I'm like perfectly fine.
Well, you don't have to worry about that anyways. But like,
I know.
I know. But like at the same time, you know.
But we brought it off the subject of the show.
That's fucked up. You know what I mean?
No, I get you.
So
you feel that way, but I don't.
So it's like. I hate you so much. It's something that's like objectively fucked up. He's like, yeah, if you feel like that, it's like,
hey man,
wow, it's like this is where we're at. But like, no, it's like, just like, you know, like fucking Alex Jones wants to say that like the water makes children and frogs gay or like whatever. You know what I mean? It's just like you say bullshit, and then like when you finally have to like answer for it one day, you're like, oh well, that was just some bullshit I said. I'm not really accountable for that, regardless of all the damage and destruction you do. That's not right. You know what I mean? Like
I feel you on that level. Obviously, I'm not like going to that severe degree.
Words
I get that.
Things, and then like words have their own power and things like that.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
I understand.
So it's like, I believe that accountability lies with you first. You know what I mean? Whether you want to take that on or not is one thing. You know, you don't necessarily have to. You don't have to like accept your own accountability.
No, I agree with you there and that's why you think I'm so trustworthy, because the first level of accountability is with yourself.
No, I don't think you're trustworthy anymore.
That's cool.
No, because you said that you're not trustworthy. You said don't trust me.
No, I said don't trust me. Don't blindly trust me, which you shouldn't be doing. And if you want to keep doing that, that's on you. I'm not telling you to do that.
No, because you told me not.
You shouldn't be blindly trusting me, and I told you not to because you should not be blindly trusting me. The first level of accountability is with yourself because you should be holding yourself to the standard. Sadly, whether you agree with that or not,
I think you
We
should
have to
assume
hold
that
each other
things.
accountable.
I think
We
you
have to
should
hold each other
assume that
accountable
things.
outside of that too.
I don't think it's weird to assume that things work when they're supposed to.
It's
You know
not
what I
about
mean?
it's not about assuming that they work. It's about being ready for the opportunity that they don't work, which in our society filled with errors and with human beings constantly doing errors is something that should be regular. I hold myself accountable because I know I am an imperfect being. I'm going to hold you accountable because, like me in that sense, you are also an imperfect being. So how would I hold just myself accountable and then look at you and be like, nah, he just stabbed someone, but it's whatevs. You know what I mean? That's an extreme example. I understand.
Right.
But the
No,
point
I
is,
don't believe that should happen either.
I know you don't. I'm saying like, because you're like, yo, you should start with holding yourself accountable. Like, I get that. In the sense of the show, I don't give a fuck, as I've said. But
I don't know how.
not to the most extreme degree.
I don't know how.
Not
I don't
to the
know
most
where you even
extreme
wrap
degree,
your head around
obviously.
that one, but okay.
Not to the most extreme degree. Obviously, I'm going to like, preface the way I do things, say whether this is like really fact or if this is just my opinion.
Saying things because you do hold yourself accountable then.
I do hold myself accountable, but like I said, to the extremist degree in terms of the show, no. Like I feel like if you think something or don't agree with someone,
He's lying right now. He's lying.
Hold me accountable in that capacity.
He just told us that he holds himself accountable, and now he's trying to convince.
But not to the extremist degrees on the show.
He's trying to convince everybody that he's edgy. He doesn't really care, and then he wears black all the time.
Edgy. Like, I do wear black all the time, and I'm cool as fuck.
He's
be happy I don't have the fucking hair part.
He's
my
like
hair
real soft and fluffy, and real
I wish
jovial.
I was still soft and fluffy.
Jovial. He smiles a lot.
Not really that jovial.
Smiles
I
a
only
lot.
smile with my friends.
That's a lie. He be smiling all the time.
I have to make myself smile when I'm just in public with nobody I know. But
you lying?
Nah, I wish I wasn't. In any case, holding yourself accountable, yes, but then we have to look outwards because that is the makings of a society. We're creating people to hold themselves accountable so that we may also hold those who cannot do that accountable. So, they get there. But yeah, that's legit how I feel about it. I'm sorry you thought that I was about blind trust, but I am not. I don't do that. I do. Yeah, and that's your decision. I would recommend you don't, because I don't think it's a good idea. You shouldn't just blindly be trusting people.
What's wrong with it?
You shouldn't be blindly trusting.
Why not? What's going to happen?
Any person or organization. Usually, on some level, you'll either be manipulated, let down, or possibly worse, even hurt.
Yeah.
Or worse than that, killed.
Is that my fault?
On some level, and there's also where we disagree. On some level, yeah. Because how does the phrase go? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Nah, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on you too. Because fuck you. What the fuck? Why'd you try to fool me?
That's nice. It's nice that you have that in your head. That's so nice. Because you're not that person at all. But that's so nice you have that in your head. That's a nice little phrase. We should what do you call it? Not market that, but we should what's the word? Oh, I can't remember my words right now.
Put on a t-shirt?
No. When you have a product and you make sure that it's yours.
Trademark it?
Yeah, thank you. We should trademark that phrase. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on you too, because fuck you.
Yeah.
It's like a poem.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't agree with it, but like it's a fucking poem. Nice.
I mean, it's your fault both times. What you doing fooling people?
True. Yeah. But if you know somebody's fooling people and you're not wary of them and not taking any precaution when you know they're doing that, that's you.
Nah, it's still them.
Still them. Also still you.
Nah, it's still them because if I rob you and then I rob you a second time, I'm going to jail 2 times. like that's how that works.
True. The fact you didn't put up
I
any
went to jail
type
once, and now I'm going right
to jail
back in
twice. But the fact you didn't try to do anything knowing that this person was a thief and let them come in, because it's not like the rest of the world can just protect you like that. You have to, on some capacity, protect yourself.
They served their time, their debt to society. They came out of jail. They were supposed to be a changed person. They didn't change.
And you just blindly trusted them.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I think people are so adverse to getting hurt. They're so afraid to get hurt.
I'm not going to lie. That's an okay one for me.
No, I think people take it to an extreme.
I understand that.
I don't think you should be the extreme where it's oh yes, I'm just ready to get hurt. But I think people take it to the extreme where they're they're so adverse to any type of thing going wrong, because what happens is instead of actually avoiding harm. They actually cause a lot more harm a lot of the time, and they actually put themselves in situations where they would be harmed even more than when they were trying to escape from in the first place.
If they go
Because
crazy like that, sure.
because huh?
If they go crazy like
No,
that,
it's not.
sure.
It's not even crazy. I've seen it all the time. It's like somebody who just like just looks like a normal fucking person, but they like doing everything they can to stop out for outcomes that happening. And what that really is fear. You know what I mean? If you're living your life in fear. You're living your life. Now, it's not that you shouldn't be reasonable. It's like,
This is what I'm saying. I'm like, where are you bringing
well,
this?
I'm like saying like this. I'm like saying like it's not like I'm saying that like you shouldn't get your children vaccinated or like things like that.
You were almost sounding like that for a quick
But
second.
what I know, but what I'm saying is that like you can't be so fear adverse that
Yes, I agree.
you don't do anything, that you don't trust anybody, that like
Yeah.
all these things they just like out like they're like, well, if I trust somebody, then they're just gonna let me down. Like it's like it's okay because people let people down. That's like
This does happen.
that's
That is
like
the most
something. That's
extreme,
like
of course.
something that
Yes.
happens. No, it's
Yeah.
not. It's not that extreme because a lot of people go through that. A lot of people like I'm just not
No,
gonna let
but
anybody in because
that
they're
is
gonna
the
end up
most extreme,
disappointing
Logan. It
me.
doesn't
You know
matter
what I
what
mean?
it's for. That's the most extreme when you get to a point where you're literally like, I shut off my trust. That's what you just described.
Yeah.
I've shut it off. That's the most extreme you can get in terms of this conversation. And I'm not saying a person should get like that, but it's understandable to be wary of people sometimes. You have to properly protect yourself.
Just because something is understandable doesn't mean it's what should happen or right.
It's not the way it should be, yes, but if we're ever going to get there, we have to live to get there. And sometimes you got to be paying attention to your surroundings and make sure people ain't doing you wrong.
No, I mean to say that, I would like to use my platform to say that, it's okay to get hurt. It's okay to be hurt sometimes. It's okay to get fucked over sometimes because it's a part of life. It shouldn't become your entire personality after that is what I'm saying. Is that
makes
like
more sense, and yes, I agree.
Huh? Well, yeah, because
I said yeah, that makes more sense.
like on one hand, yes, it sucks. It sucks when people let us down. It sucks when people like do things that we don't like. But on the other hand, like, as long as I'm not even talking about the other person, I'm just talking about you right now. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
For you and yourself, right? It's okay to like go through the motions of being hurt. It's okay to grieve. It's okay to not be okay. You know what I mean? To be a cliche. But like, these things are okay, and we're always taught in society that we should be so like adverse to like, oh, don't be the victim, don't get hurt, don't do this, don't do that. And it's like you can only not do so much. And like this whole idea that like there are no victims, that's a victim mentality, goes right into it. It's like just let it go. Like it's okay. Like if something happened to you and like somebody hurt you, they assaulted you, they fucked you up, you are a victim, and it's okay to say so. You know what I mean? Like there's so many things, like especially on the internet now, like where it's like they may have got me, but I'm not a victim. It's like, no, that's you. You're the victim. Like that's what happened.
You have been victimized.
You have been victimized. It's okay to be the victim. It's okay to be what you are. It's okay to be the thing. Because what doesn't help you get over being victimized is pretending you're not the victim. You know what I mean?
Get you on that level. Yeah.
Like just pretending that something didn't happen to you is just one way of making yourself live with that thing for that much longer. You're just carrying that around now, because what you're doing is not only are you trying to avoid what actually happened to you, you're trying to avoid how you feel about it. Yeah. And so like we need to get to the point where like we're okay with things not going our way. We're okay with things not being the way we want them to be sometimes, because guess what? You're not the master of the universe. You're not owed everything going right. You're not owed like things just like being perfect for you all the time. It sucks when things doesn't go our way. It sucks when like people hurt us. It sucks when like people break our hearts and stuff. But you know what? The thing that sucks even more than that is when we keep that wound open. We just like grip it from both sides and just like don't let it heal, because we are just so hurt by the thing that like we're going to like destroy ourselves even more, because we just don't want to feel that way anymore, you know? And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, it's okay to just cry it out. It's okay to grieve. It's okay to be the victim. It's okay to be this person that something happened to. What's
Yeah.
like, because so many people, like, especially like these misogynistic podcasts and stuff that you hear nowadays, it's like all these dudes are like so hurt. You know what I mean? Like they're all like, they all speak from a place of pain. They all speak from, you know, this is what women do because women are like this, and that. Whenever you do this, this is what women do. And you hear that language. It's like, when I do this, this is what happens to me. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? When I do that, this is what happened to me. Or I said this thing to this person one time, and I tried to be this person that like was a good person one time, and then this is what I got back from it. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And it's like, it's okay to be the person in the situation where it didn't work out. It's okay to be doing the right thing and have a bad outcome happen. You know what I mean? Like, everything isn't one for one. Everything isn't that like I'm supposed to put like kindness coins into life and then life is supposed to treat me kindly back. Like,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes being a good person is enough. Like, just like what I was saying, like if you got robbed twice, that person goes to jail twice, you know, like, and that can be okay. You got beat up in the scuffle, like they going for more than just robbery now. You know what I mean? Like this is like like this is like what I'm saying is like in a just world, of course. But like this is
Right.
what I'm saying is that like it's okay to like be like traumatized by shit and let shit happen to you. Like you don't have to then become this super armored, super like mech of a person where you just put all this fucking like our Iron Man is such like a trope because it's like he looks so cool and it's like, oh my god, Tony Stark is so cool, but he's like just a shell of a person, and that's why he lives in a shell. You know what I mean? Like that's he's a hermit crab. This is what Tony Stark is. He's a hermit crab. He's like, and he just goes from shell to shell to shell, making a more powerful shell for him to like protect himself because he's afraid the whole time throughout the whole arc. He's afraid of what's going to happen. You know what I mean?
Well,
And
not
so
just to
many people.
himself, but to others as well.
I said happen. I didn't say to who. I
Okay.
said it
Cool.
like
Cool.
that on
Cool.
purpose
All
because
right.
that's what it is. It's like what he said was, "I wish I could put an armor suit around the whole world."
Yeah.
Like that's some real afraid shit. Like this man is
Yeah.
afraid. You know what I mean? So it's like we valorize and we like put on a pedestal like ultra security sometimes. And it's just like there's no level of security you can get to before like you are ultimately like people in like the Middle Ages built entire stone walls and castles, and people still knock that shit down. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
there's no level of security that you can make that somebody is just like that's going to keep you safe, because you'll either get to a place where like nobody can touch you, and then what you'll have to deal with is the pain that you already had anyways. One day it comes. It's like there's no place you can hide from getting hurt. So it's like instead of going through all the effort of like building this iron suit around you, building this high wall up above you, you know, like instead of going through all the effort, like you could just like go to therapy. No, I'm kidding. But like you could just like you could just like deal with it and like accept it. You know what I mean? And they accept, and it sounds like I'm making it sound easy, but it's not that it's easy. It's that it sucks. That's why we don't. That's why we all don't want to do it. Nobody wants to be that person, but that's the healthiest version of ourselves. Like that's like the healthiest version of ourselves is the person that like just is like, this fucking sucks and I'm about to cry right now. You know what I mean? Like this sucks. I hate the way this person treated me. Let me cry about it. Let me deal with it. Let me get it out. Because at the end of the day, like that other person, like they don't really matter in the story.
No, it's your story.
Yeah, it's your story. You know what I mean? Like
But
people.
still, like, you do want to be the person able to accept your emotions, but no one likes leaving themselves open to harm. Like, that's just not
But that
a
would be
thing.
the people who are searching for security miss the part where to be the most secure, you would be vulnerable. Like,
Of course, you want to
you
be
know what I mean?
vulnerable, but it doesn't mean you just leave yourself open to any. Because, like, I get what you're saying,
Mm-hmm.
like, on one level. Like, obviously, you want to be vulnerable, you want to be able to work through your things, but, like, the truth point in trying to live life is to, well, as best as you can, like, manage some sort of balance where it's like, yeah, I can accept what's going to happen to me because obviously I don't have control over everything.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, building yourself into the person who can handle everything. Well, not everything, but handle the things that come your way. You're not trying to stay in a place of like
You want
I'm
to be able to
always
take care
at
of
harm.
yourself. I'll say.
Yes, like that's a fair way to put it. But yeah, because to speak on it is for just one side is like, yeah, obviously we want to be in a space where things are happening to us and we respond to them well. But the thing is, we also want to be in a space where we can have some sort of, I won't say leverage, but some sort of way to keep things that, at least recurring things, from happening to us. It's the point of Tony's like suit in one sense. Because sure, yeah, he makes weapons. He was like, yo, I got robbed. I mean, I got kidnapped and stuff, and I want to be able to protect myself. But at the end of the day, that also saved him, allowed him to do a lot more good than he was otherwise doing. And in one sense, he turned the pain he was feeling into a way to help himself and others. So I can't just say like, because the point is to say you don't stop at, all right, this has happened to me. I was sad about it. The point isn't to just stop there.
No, he lived the life and he lived the life path. He went down a certain.
Well, yeah, he went down a certain path. That's fair
He
to
went
say.
down a certain path. Like he didn't. He could have just gotten kidnapped and then decided that like he's gonna destroy the weapons program and that like he's not gonna do all the bullshit with the flying around and like fighting aliens and shit. You know what I mean? Like he escalates the situation as well. Like
I wouldn't put all that on him because in their worlds, shit kind of escalates on its own to begin with.
No, because he didn't have to be a part of that.
He
is
didn't,
what I'm saying.
But if he wasn't there in that space, being who he was at the time,
who's to say that it would actually have gone wrong? That's what I mean. Is that like there's plenty of ways that like we can make arguments for why it's a good reason to like build shells around ourselves, but doesn't mean that that's like the way. That doesn't mean that that is the only thing that we could have done. I think we like to convince ourselves.
But on the other side,
a lot of the time, like,
on the other side, it's still the same.
Tony has to fight intergalactic threats because he goes on a path. He walks a path that leads him to that threat. He doesn't have to do like if he stopped after the first Iron Man, stopped with all the Iron Man bullshit, he would never be fighting Thanos. You know what I mean? And who's to say that if he stopped that like Thanos would even be a thing? You know,
that isn't
like
fair to
whatever.
say. I get you.
Well, I'm saying just in the butterfly effect of things.
No, I get you.
Know what I mean?
I get you.
So what I'm saying is a lot of the times we create our own problems by like escalating how much we think. Because like every movie he gets a new suit. So it's like how much do you escalate it to the point where it's like how much do I push this thing? How much am I going to walk this path of like self-protection and never trusting the world to the point where it's like you got aliens now. You know what I mean?
Where you are actually Thanos. But
yeah, exactly. Or even Thanos has the same like kind of arc.
He
so
is
it's like
the ultimate.
Yeah,
problem.
exactly. So he's the ultimate idea of fear and what fear does to a person. Where it's like, well, I'm just gonna wipe out half the universe. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's a path you're walking. You don't just start there day one. And like a lot of people, we would be saved so much pain if we just accepted that like it was fucked up that they wiped out half my planet. You know? It was fucked up, that was a fucked up thing that happened. Like there's other people that like survived that. Thanos wasn't the only one, but it was just like, yeah, that shit was fucked up. We should leave this planet. It sucks here. Let's move on with our lives somewhere else. When he was like making eggs and then they jumped him, like he could have done that. He could have just been doing that. He could have been like, oh, it's fucked up. But let me find a planet that has nice fields and chickens, and let me make eggs in a little hut, and that could be my life.
Until someone comes into your home and takes all your livelihood and your life, and then you're at the whims of someone else.
You're not at the whims of someone else. I think that's
In
a
that
false
situation,
I think
you
no,
might
I
be.
think that's a false way of thinking about it because like we don't have enough time for that. I want to talk
Nah,
about
yeah,
that
because
next. I want to talk about
I'd
that.
be
Yeah,
down. Write it
I
down
want.
because I
I
have
do
to
want to.
step out
Yeah,
myself.
I gotta go because I want to talk about next week how like we fear so much about like having other people have control of our lives and whether or not that's justified or not.
Write it down because that's actually a good one.
Anyway, let's get out of here. Mitch, do you have anything you want to leave the people with?
Go watch Barbarian. It was actually a pretty good film. Yeah, I'm not a person who believes in blindly trusting anyone. I do agree that we got to hold ourselves accountable, but we also have to hold each other accountable. And I'm sticking to it. Mitch out.
Yeah. No, that's a good one. I like that one. Mm-hmm. Yes, I second that. Go watch. Actually, no, don't do that. Don't go watch Barbarian.
Why? It was good.
It was good, but like, I was traumatized after that movie. I'm not gonna lie. Like,
you should go watch it even more.
No, I'm not gonna watch it anymore. Like, that's gonna be
I'm
the
talking
first
to the audience. You guys should go see it. Yeah, that was. Yeah,
I didn't speak for like an hour. Like after that movie,
I don't want to see it again.
I didn't. Yeah, I didn't talk for like.
Definitely go watch it though.
What the fuck was I gonna say? I didn't know what to say after that. I was just like traumatized and shit.
Good for them though. I'm glad they have that under their belt.
Yeah, good for you for making that bullshit. Anyways, no, it was a lot, guys. I mean, we talked about it in the beginning, like it wasn't a lot, and you just think, oh,
you didn't even get the rest of it.
Yeah, we didn't even get. We had a good conversation about some tropes in the movie, but like, guys,
and analysis on Bill Skarsgård character.
It goes a lot deeper than that.
Oh god,
and
there's a lot more problems.
Worse. Yes, so watch that movie at your own peril. Anyways, I just want to thank everybody if you made it this far throughout the show. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing the show. Thank you for whatever you do. Like, just thank you for being you. Have a good night. Have a good evening. Have a good morning. Have a good whatever you're doing on your way to work. Have a good time when you're listening to the show and after. Say bye to the people, Mitch.
Goodbye, everyone.
I'm your host, Logan. This has been episode 67 of the Nick and Toast podcast. And we're out. Bye.
Bye.